Question number 4, Kevin Hague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for ACC and asks, does she agree with Peter Trapski's recommendation in his 1994 report of the inquiry into the procedures of the Accident Compensation Corporation that the corporation must ensure that the opinions it obtains from medical practitioners are independent, not only of the claimant, but also of the corporation, and that they are seen to be so?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Kevin Hague.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. Is she concerned that just 4 of ACC's favourite specialist medical advisors, Dr. Martin C. Robb, Dr. Vic Duplessis, Dr. Bill Turner and Dr. David Beaumont, collectively are paid up to $2 million a year from ACC for services rendered?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I believe that the member is referring to a TV3 report on Sunday evening. Oh, no, he's not. When it comes to saying that people are paid up to an amount, it's not particularly helpful because it's anything under that amount. But I've been advised by ACC that the medical case reviews, they have 338 doctors who can carry out those assessments. Initial medical assessments, the number's 97. Vocational initial medical assessment, 62. An impairment assessment, they've got 59. That, on average, those 4 particular doctors who were discussed on the 60 Minutes program, who I thought he was referring to, they have received, and they actually conduct between 8.7 and 4.7 of those particular reviews. So I hope that's helpful to the member.
Kevin Hague.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. Does she believe an ordinary person would consider it possible that medical advisors like Dr. Duplessis, Dr. Turner, Dr. Beaumont and Dr. Robb could remain independent of ACC when it pays them between $300,000 and $500,000 each per year?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think that that is an issue that needs to be considered, and I've spoken to ACC about it. The member will be aware that there is a new board now put in place. I will be meeting with the board and discussing, obviously not the individual cases or the matters, but how we can end up with a system which obviously achieves good, robust medical and independent medical reports and assessments that can be seen as independent by both the claimants, clients of ACC and ACC, but that I'd also note that even back in 2000, the year 2000, 12 years ago, the same lawyers for ACC clients were claiming exactly the same issues around what they said were non-independent medical assessments. So I don't think much has changed, but I'm happy to work with the member to try and get things to change.
Kevin Hague.
Supplementary. Does she agree that an ordinary person would find it unbelievable that ACC would continue to fly these doctors around the country and pay them an average of almost $1,700 for each client they see, if they were not acting as hitmen, to use the phrase that Laurie Gluckman was described by, according to Judge Trapski, in targeting the exit of long-term claimants that ACC has referred to as low-hanging fruit?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Speaker, I think it's absolutely right that people who are not highly trained, skilled medical professionals, just as people who are not highly trained, very skilled legal professionals, find it outrageous, the fees that are charged. But that's actually something that I think most people in New Zealand would say around this area. I don't know for certain, I can't tell the House that the medical professionals he's referring to are paid any differently than any other medical professionals with that degree of expertise. And I'm surprised that the former Minister for ACC, who left the job so abruptly, should want to call out about this issue.
Kevin Hague.
Supplementary. Does she accept that there is a risk that the assessments performed by a doctor who earns up to $500,000 a year for working part-time for ACC could be affected by a desire to continue receiving such lucrative contracts from the corporation.
The Honourable Judith
Well,
Collins.
Mr. Speaker, I think that there's always that perception. Whether the perception is reality is a different matter because, as I understand, these very highly trained, experienced medical professionals are in great demand all over the world. And what we do know is that as a country like the size of New Zealand, of course, we have a fabulous health system, thanks in good part to this government, but also to the level of qualifications and experience and the work attitude of many of the medical professionals he's referring to.
Kevin Hague.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does she agree that contracting for specialist medical assessments with district health boards or professional colleges would help ensure that they are independent and are seen to be so, as Judge Trapski says they must be?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr. Speaker, I think the member's raised a very good point, and he has privately raised that matter with me. It's certainly one that I have raised with ACC, and now that the new board is in place, I wish to take that matter further to see whether or not that is a realistic situation that we should consider.
Kevin Hague.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. What are the instructions she has given the reconstituted ACC board about specialist medical assessments?
The Honourable Judith
Mr.
Collins.
Speaker, I haven't yet met with the board. They've only been in place a few days, but I will be attending their first board meeting to discuss some of these issues with them and ask them if they can start considering these matters. I have, however, met with the Chief Executive, raised those issues and asked for some suggestions, but I think it's a very important issue that the members raised.
Barbara Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will ACC cap the annual amount it spends on any individual medical assessor to avoid the risk of incentivising advisors to provide reports that ACC wants rather than independent advice?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure that would be a good idea, particularly if, for instance, there may be only 2 or 3 specialists with the level of expertise in the country. So I think that might be a bit of a blunt instrument, but I can undertake to look at all those considerations.
Question number 5, Tim McIndoe.